Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about a drama thriller film called Where the Crawdads Sing from 2022. Enjoy your viewing. October 30th, 1969. Driving through a swampy area, the boys noticed the body of a young man lying nearby. The police soon arrived and examined the body, identifying it as Chase Andrews. There are no traces of the criminal or the victim around. This causes the sheriff to be confused. His assistant notices a tower and assumes that Chase fell from there, because young people often climb this tower to enjoy the beauty of the surrounding nature. The sheriff notices that one section of the floor is missing, and the boy did fall through it. After examining the body, the doctor confirms that Chase fell from the tower at 2 in the morning, but hit the edge of the tower with the back of his head, so he fell backwards. And this is only possible if someone pushed him. There are no fingerprints or other traces on the tower. The only thing we found were red woolen threads. Chase was not wearing similar clothes, so these threads could have been left by the alleged killer. The cops are baffled and don't know who to suspect. Meanwhile, everyone in the bar is discussing the situation, and they don't hesitate to express their assumptions. Most believe that the killer is a swamp girl who lives in a remote swampy area not far from the city. The sheriff decides to check people's assumptions and visits Kaia's house. The girl's full name is Kaia Clark. His deputy notices a red woolen hat, and they decide to detain the girl. Kaia tries to escape, but she is arrested and sent to jail. The girl is visited by Milton. He is the only person who believes in the girl's innocence and is ready to defend her in court. Before he can help, Kaia has to tell him everything about herself, starting with her childhood. 1953. A small, gentle, and intelligent girl who loves nature. She spends all her time with her brothers, sisters, and mother, who teach her to draw. They also live with a cruel father who suffers from alcohol addiction. He does not hesitate to raise his hand against his children and wife. The man constantly intimidates them and keeps them in fear. A friend of the older brothers named Tate tried to protect Kaia, but it did not change anything. After a nightly quarrel, the mother could not stand it, and after packing all her things, she left. Soon after, my older brother left as well. And 3 months later, the sisters left the house as well. The last to leave home was Jody, who offered the girl to run away with him. The little girl was afraid that her father would become even worse than before, and decided to stay by his side, trying to be an obedient daughter. She did not draw her father's attention to herself, and tried not to make him angry by doing everything quietly and obediently. One day she got lost, but her father helped her return home. Trying to be a little kinder, the man took the girl with him to the city to buy food and refuel the boat. At the same time, the father teaches his daughter not to trust anyone, because people are worse and more dangerous than animals. The owners of the shop, Jumping and Mabel, turned out to be very kind and considerate people. The compassionate woman realized that the girl did not know how to count, and even treated her to candy to earn Kaia's trust. The girl also listened to the advice to go to school, because all she needed was a dress and shoes. Dreaming of learning to read and write, Kaia found an old dress of one of her sisters. Many people treated her as strange and began to avoid the dirty girl in rags. During the first lesson, everyone laughed at the new student. She did not want to be humiliated and ran away. From that day on, the girl never returned to school. Despite the cruelty and rudeness, the father tried to be kinder and gave his daughter an old army backpack. The girl did not have time to thank him because she heard the postman and ran to him. Kaia received a letter from her mother, but she couldn't read it, so she gave the envelope to her father. Without explaining anything, he burned the letter and became very angry because of what his runaway wife had written. The girl was so hurt and upset that she collected the ashes from the burned letter and kept them in a jar. That same night, the father destroyed all of her mother's belongings and then left, leaving his daughter alone. This was a real blow to her, because it was at that moment that Kaia realized that no one else needed her, and she could only rely on herself. The next morning, the girl gathered mussels in the water and arranged with the store owner to supply her with food. Soon she started earning money, and Mabel helped Kaia by giving her shoes and clothes from the church. The store owner is also kind to the girl, and he gave her a dress again. Tom is sure that the jury will be prejudiced against the swamp girl, and will try to sentence her to life in prison or the death penalty. You can make a sincere confession and get 10 years in prison. But Kaia is not going to confess to killing Chase, and the lawyer realizes this and decides to defend the girl in court. At the hearing, the prosecutor has only assumptions and guesses, so Tom urges everyone to be guided by facts, not emotions or prejudices. 1962. While walking near her home, Kaia noticed a strange guy and got scared. Soon it turned out that the guy decided to just court her. The girl can't read, so she couldn't appreciate all the gifts. The guy offered his help, and in no time he taught Kaia not only to read, but also to write. The girl has a passion for nature, so she spent most of her time reading biology books, learning about the world not only physically, but also scientifically. The social worker recognized that the girl lived alone, and her parents had long since left home. After discussing this with the store owners, the man asked them to let him know as soon as they met Kaia. The caring Jumpin and Mabel told the girl about it so that she would be more careful. The next time, Kaia starts covering her tracks and spends time in nature to avoid being seen by the social worker. The first romantic date ended with a kiss and grew into something more. Sometime later, the couple decided to celebrate Kai's birthday at the lake. Seeing the swans arrive, the boyfriend and girlfriend felt joy. Deciding to make the day more memorable, they almost made love. At the last moment, the guy stopped, afraid of hurting the girl, because she means too much to him and he doesn't want to rush. Time passed, and Tate was about to leave because he was going to university. Before he left his hometown, he spent the night with his beloved, and left her a list of publishers to whom she could send her drawings to earn some money. Kaia was afraid that she would lose her boyfriend forever, but he promised to return on July 4th. Waiting for that very day, she used lipstick for the first time to make a good impression on her lover. Running to the coast, she waited for more than a day, but Tate never showed up. Disappointed, she burned the last of her drawings and decided to start a new chapter in her life. Meanwhile, in the courtroom, witnesses who could testify against Kaia are being interviewed. In the first case, the prosecutor talks to the sheriff and points out that red woolen threads were found near Chase's body. The lawyer objects because they could have gotten on his clothes not only at the time of the murder, but also a few days before. In addition, the sheriff had appealed to the state a year ago to have the authorities close the tower and repair the grill, and then the police assumed that such negligence could end badly. And this is what led to the death. 1968. The girl has forgotten Tate and has opened her heart to fall in love with a young and charming guy named Chase. After returning home, she noticed a strange man with a camera and rushed to the store owners for help. It turned out that a businessman was drying up the swamp to build hotels, and her house could be of great importance to him. If the girl proves that the land belongs to her, he can pay a lot of money for it. The way to prove ownership is to pay the debts, which amount to $1,800. She doesn't have that kind of money, but she remembers the lists Tate left her. She sends some drawings to one of these people. Later, she goes on a date with Chase and finds a unique shell. The couple kisses, but the guy is too persistent, and Kaia pushes him away because she is not an easy girl. Chase decides to prove his feelings are serious and takes the girl to the tower. He loves to spend time there when he is sad and lonely. Soon, Kaia and Chase fall in love with each other. After a while, the publisher wrote back to her and agreed to publish a book with which she could pay off her debts. Chase has to leave for a few days and offers the girl to go to another city with him. Kaia is used to living alone with nature and is afraid of a lot of people. Nevertheless, she agrees to the trip. The couple secludes themselves in a hotel and engages in lovemaking. The girl gives Chase a handmade pendant as a symbol of her love for him. In the courtroom, a woman remembers this pendant and thinks that Kaia should be put in jail. Tom objects because the sheriff and his deputies have searched the house, but have not found the missing pendant. He asks the woman to calm down because all the accusations against Kaia are speculation and have no evidence. Tate returned to the city and saw that his beloved girl was dating another man. He overheard Chase talking about the girl in a conversation with a friend, and it made him feel angry. In the evening, Tate came to Kaia's house to apologize and explain. He was afraid that he would have to choose between her and his future, but he realized that he could not live without Kaia, and then he returned to his hometown. Tate is also passionate about biology and studying nature, so he will stay here forever, despite the fact that Kaia will not be with him. The very next morning, the girl finds out that Chase is getting married to another girl, and they are serious. She realizes that Chase has been taking advantage of her and lying to her all along, so she runs home. Soon, Chase came to see her, and the girl had to hide, avoiding the meeting. At that moment, she realized that it was better to be alone. A few days later, she received a royalty for the book. It was enough money to pay off her debts and to renovate the interior of her house. One day, on the threshold of the house, she noticed a man. She couldn't imagine that it was her brother Jody, who ran away many years ago. Their mother died of illness, and he doesn't know the fate of his older sisters, brother, and father. Chase meets Kaia and tries to talk to her. He behaves impudently and tries to take advantage of the defenseless girl. Grabbing the first thing that came to hand, Kaia hit Chase on the head and promised to destroy him if he ever came near her again. This was witnessed by a fisherman who is now testifying in court and telling this story. A few hours later, she returned home to find that Chase had ransacked her house. In the evening, she was expecting another attack, but Tate came to her house and decided to support her. The next morning, she received an invitation from a book publisher, and on October 29, 1969, she left for another city. The girl left the day before Chase's death, and there are witnesses who confirm this. The prosecutor is sure that Kaia returned at night, and after committing the crime, she went back to the city to visit the book publisher. but no one can confirm this. Tom rejects the next assumptions because the girl was on the bus twice, and it's strange that no one noticed her. Besides, she only had an hour, and it's unlikely she could have made it. The jury listened to all the people and asked everyone to leave the room to make a decision. After 6 hours, the defense and prosecution reconvened in court to hear the verdict. The judge and jury unanimously found Kaia not guilty of the crime against Chase and apologized for the time wasted. From that day on, the girl's life became happy because she spent it next to her beloved Tate, living to a ripe old age. She died peacefully and went to meet her mother. Going through old things, Tate flips through one of the books and finds the pendant, realizing that Kaia was lying and that she killed Chase. He throws the pendant into the water, and the movie ends. If you have watched the video so far, you should know that I am happy to have viewers like you. Thank you for watching to the end. Subscribe to the channel and follow the news. Klontsak Recapped was with you. See you soon.